Previously on the all-new adventures of the Doctor Who Book Club podcast.
We are going to be setting the TARDIS clock back to 20 years ago, just to make us all feel old, and we are going to be experiencing The Monsters Inside by Steve Cole, which features the Doctor as played by Christopher Eccleston and Rose as played by Billie Piper, who may or may not be the Doctor.
And now our story continues.
Welcome, everyone, to the all-new adventures of the Doctor Who Book Club podcast. This is Matt in Minnesota.
Chris in South London. How's it going, Matt?
Well, as you could probably hear, I'm a little bit under the weather, but apologies if I sound different, but so it goes.
Yeah.
How are you doing, Chris?
Okay. Just got back from Wales, of which more later. Interesting, the possible news regarding the show.
What possible news are you referring to?
Oh, I am referring to Edinburgh Festival, where a BBC person said that Doctor Who is very important, etc.
The not going anywhere comment.
Yes. The TARDIS isn't going nowhere. Or something like that.
Well, yes, because the show's on hiatus.
Yes. Which kind of gives me hope. I mean, I know some people have sort of said, yeah, Jonathan Powell said similar stuff in 1990. But he didn't quite say, it gave me a little bit, so Chief Content Officer Kate Phillips. So we'll see. Dear listener, maybe by the time you're listening to this, you'll know what is happening. But maybe by the time you listen to this, there'll be a date for a certain Sea Devil spin-off. Yes.
Yeah, I heard early 2026, but yeah, we shall see.
I wonder whether that is just to make sure that there is Doctor Who content that is aired in 2026.
In related news, I'm planning to see Ncuti Gatwa on screen tonight.
Oh, yes.
Going to see the War of the Roses remake with Olivia Colman and Benedict Cumberbatch. And
Yes. Doctor Who alumni. Oh.
Yes, both.
Yes.
And Alison Janney.
Oh, yes.
And then Kate McKinnon and Andy Samberg as well. So hopefully it'll cheer me up a little bit with the state of things in the world, you know.
Yes. We intend to see that, but possibly not tonight, because my wife has gone to go and watch Weapons to cheer herself up. Welcome to UK/England 2025. Anyway, I think that's all I'm going to say on that one.
So we do have some book news to share.
Yeah.
So Doctor Who The Monster Makers is the first collection of 15th Doctor comic strips from the pages of DWM. That should be out in stores and available for pre-order. There's an exclusive, limited to 250 copies cover if you order from Panini's website. Unfortunately, they won't ship to the United States. I have to get the regular cover instead, but that's okay. And then Big Finish has announced a new enhanced audiobook range. So similar to the audio novels range that they've done, they've decided to do a shorter version called the Audio Novellas, and that'll be due out for release in January of 2026. And then some sad news to share. Apparently the Doctor Who Puffins Classic range, so like the crossovers with public domain stories, is going to be ending after the publication of Paul Mars's Dracula, which is a first Doctor story due out September 11th. Paul Mars has said that had the range continued, his next proposal would have been Patrick Troughton, second Doctor, with Mrs. Mills, the pianist mentioned in The Devil's Chord, versus the War of the Worlds in swinging 1967 London.
Okay, that would be good.
Maybe he can recycle that for something else.
Yeah. They could do Steamboat Willie.
True. And I suppose Winnie the Pooh now too, right?
Yes. So we could have the 12th Doctor meeting Winnie the Pooh.
He would get along famously with Eeyore, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. Yes. Dear listeners, which Doctor do you think would fit best in the 100 Acre Wood, and which one would fit best with Steamboat Willie? There you go. That's a talking point you didn't think you'd get. Right.
So let's talk about show and tell.
Yeah. Okay. So I have forgotten. As I say, I've just been away. I've forgotten who goes first.
You picked the book, did
I picked the book.
Okay.
Yes, it's my fault. Yes, there you go. Right. So what have you got?
By the way, we are reading The Monsters Inside by Steve Cole.
Yes.
We've read it. We're reviewing it, I should say.
Yes, we are.
It has been a month.
Yes, August. Wow. Okay. So, what have you got for show and tell, Matt?
So, similar to last month, I listened to Another Big Finish, and this one ties in with our TARDIS team for this month. So, I listened to Snare, also by Tim Foley, who wrote Vampire Weekend. Mm-hmm. And this is the first of 12 stories in a Ninth Doctor and Rose series, and features Camille Coduri reprising her role as Jackie. Mm-hmm. And it is set after Father's Day. And the premise of this one is that glowing alien plants take over a flat in the Powell estate, and it builds from there. There is one joke that I did particularly enjoy where Jackie keeps trying to get the Ninth Doctor to watch Titanic on VHS. Mm-hmm. But the Doctor doesn't want to, as he was there and it was traumatic. So.
Oh, that's lovely. And that also feels very kind of
Ninth Doctor,
yeah. Oh,
but
cool.
yeah, it's a fun start to hopefully a great new series of adventures for the two of them, and I do appreciate the continuity. Like there's reference made to Rose having gone missing for a year and all of that.
Oh, cool! Very good.
And it's 54 minutes long and it has about 20 minutes worth of interviews too. So
okay. Cool. And Billy doesn't mention her possible new role.
No, there's no allusions to that.
No, okay, fair enough.
How about yourself?
Yeah, so for show and tell, so an honourable mention that I did a park run in Tranquil Repose, aka Portsmouth Lakeside, which was the filming location for Revelation of the Daleks. Mm-hmm. So you too can run near where Colin Baker's face kind of fell.
Was it snowing?
It was August in England. No, it was hot. I think I might have been the only one that twigged this, which did also go me to go and have a look to see what other park runs there are in Doctor Who filming locations. It seems to be a very short selection, unless, dear listener, you know of others, because I think the other one is actually quite nearby. It's Queen Elizabeth Country Park, which is just up the road from Portsmouth, and scenes from Trial of a Time Lord were filmed there. I think scenes featuring podcast favourite Dibber. And also as well, I think some scenes from Revelation of the Daleks was also filmed there. So clearly that era production team just quite liked going down to Hampshire. The thing that I will actually do show and tell is, so yesterday I was in Brecon, again for running purposes, because there is such thing as the parkrun alphabet. Brecon, you might say, that starts with the letter B, and like B surely is an easy letter to get. This is true, but the park run is the promenade in English, or to use its Welsh name, which is what it's called, Y Promenade. So it starts with the letter Y. There are very few Ys. So we went there, and I had a nice jolly old run, and we then went to Brecon Cathedral. And Brecon Cathedral is another Doctor Who filming location. So, Matt, I haven't warned you about this, but I have sent you an email
Okay.
of a photo that I took yesterday, and is of the visitors book at said place.
I just saw.
So on the 30th of September in the visitors book, we have signatures from Karen Gillan, or Amy Pond as she put it in quotes, and also Matt Smith, and they both put their location as TARDIS. And their comments, so Karen described it as beautiful, tranquil, and Matt as welcomed, full stop, creatively, full stop. So I don't know how they welcomed him creatively, but it was a big hit. And somebody with handwriting seemingly other than Matt Smith has written The Doctor. So I like to think that that was like a vicar or a verger or whatever.
Or someone added that, yeah.
Yes, just to make it very clear. Look, this person's famous. But it was in 2009, so it was before the series first season had aired, and they were filming Time of the Angels.
Ah, okay.
Because it is the library in Time of the Angels. So, when I pointed out to Lauren that I hadn't realised that it was a filming location, we were just there to go and see history and stuff, because it's quite a historic cathedral with an interesting past. Also, as well, a dog-friendly cathedral. There aren't many of those.
It's the bit at the beginning with the museum.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Where they find the black box or whatever from River.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's where they filmed that. But it's a beautiful old cathedral. Yeah, and you can park for free if you're moderately sensible around there. That was really unexpected. I loved your surprise.
That's really cool. To quote Robert J. Sawyer, a sci-fi fantasy author,
Yes.
who may or may not have been quoting someone else, whenever visiting a tourist attraction, I always sign the guest book. After all, you never know when you'll need an alibi.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Wow, very cool.
Anyway, a stunning cathedral, but elevated ever so slightly in our eyes. But we didn't let on to. There was a wonderful volunteer called Dave. If ever you go to Brecon Cathedral and you encounter a guy who is a former beefeater from the Tower of London, say to Dave that Chris says hi. We didn't say anything about our Doctor Who interest, but he gave us a wonderfully lurid tour. He just started chatting to us, and it was just lots of quirky history there. But anyway, right, should we move on?
I'll include it, when this episode goes out. And so let's take the TARDIS back another 4 years from 2009 to 2005, and this month we are reviewing The Monsters Inside by Stephen Cole. He's credited as Stephen Cole, and now he goes by Steve Cole. I don't know if he makes a distinction between... kind
of like an Ian M. Banks kind of thing. Yeah.
And so a little bit about Steve Cole. So just kind of reading about the author in the back. So this is about Steve Cole circa 2005. It says he used to edit magazines and books, and in the late 90s looked after the BBC's range of Doctor Who novels, videos, and audio adventures. Now he spends most of his time writing, chiefly books for children of all ages, and kind of lists some recent projects at the time, and that he has a baby who's, I guess, now probably grown up.
And is a co-author, has written books, so his child has written books with him. But sorry, go on.
And his next collaboration is with Paul Mars in an anthology called 1001 Nights in Time and Space, which is due out September 18th, where he's credited as Steve Cole. So
okay, cool. He wrote a series of young Bond books, and he appears to be Steve Cole for that.
A little bit of background about this book. This was one of the first 3 novels published based on the new series. Came out in May of 2005, just as the season was wrapping up, and it features a prologue and 23 untitled chapters. Shall we jump in?
Let's go and experience the monsters inside.
So the book starts with the Ninth Doctor and Rose Tyler arriving on Justice Alpha, which is a planet in the Justicia. I think Camille says Justicia. Okay. So, there is an audiobook version read by Camille Coduri.
Yes, which we may hear a snippet from.
And And it's set in 2501. So kind of is that the Bernice Summerfield era?
Oh,
Kind of the 25th century.
Yeah, though also sometimes they're not consistent as to exactly when that happened either.
So the TARDIS materializes and Rose steps out on her first alien planet. And it's kind of cool that RTD let this moment happen in the novels as opposed to on screen. But he recognized that it was important enough to like make a big deal of, right? Because in the series proper, she's never like, oh, this is my first alien planet, which a lot of other companions experience.
Yeah.
And she sees like a kind of a cool red flower in the dirt, which is depicted on the cover. And then they witness some brutal slave labor in the distance.
Yeah.
As a pyramid is being constructed, seemingly just for, I wouldn't say fun, but just to have the prisoners have something to do.
Yeah.
And the Doctor and Rose are captured. The Doctor's identified as an alien, and he's sent to Justice Prime, which is one of 4 inhabited worlds in the Justicia system, which, by the way, and we mentioned this last month, Rose actually mentions in dialogue in Boomtown. She talks about this adventure a little bit. So it's kind of a super canonical type story.
It's the most canonical novel, I think, ever.
Yeah.
There isn't a novelization.
And the Doctor is sent to the interestingly named place called the Scat House.
Yes.
Which stands for Species, Creative, and Advanced Technologies, which is run by a doctor named Leslie Flowers. SCAT also has an acronym in the 1980s, 1990s very controversial video game Night Trap. That's the name of the SWAT team that is hunting vampires in Dana Plato.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to go Scatman.
Oh.
But there's also, as well, isn't scatological a thing about, shall we say, dirty matters?
Yeah.
Yes, which is something bearing in mind what might be about to happen in the story.
Yeah. In terms of the villains.
Yes, indeed.
And so this Scat House, this kind of institute on Justice Prime, is run by Leslie Flowers. So Dr. Flowers, and the Doctor's implanted with a control chip, which is kind of like serves as like translator microbes. And I wonder if some of this has to do with the show not fully deciding like how the TARDIS translation circuits work.
Yeah.
Like in the classic series, it was, like a gift shared with, I think when Sarah Jane or whoever asks about it. But in the new series, because this is spread out on multiple planets and the Doctor and Rose are separated for much of the narrative, I wonder if this was like a way around, in case something in the future came up where if the Doctor's on a different planet from the TARDIS, does he get the benefit of those, of that translation, and or does Rose? So similar to kind of like the translator microbes you'd see in like Farscape.
Yeah. Well, the show's never been consistent on that. So
True. And so the Doctor's roommates, because all the aliens are sent here, he's put into a cell with 2 Slitheen. One is Dram Fel Foch, and the other is Acosta Fel Foch. Heppen Bar, so longer name there. And Rose is sent to a teenage Borstal called Detention Center 6 on Justice Beta.
Yeah, we haven't come up with the term Borstal. The book says it, and I keep on thinking, is this Dickensian? What's going on?
And having read this book before, I didn't remember it being so like prisoner cell block H type stuff going on here.
Yes!
And Rose's prison is run by the harsh warders Blank and Norris. And she's targeted by an inmate named Katza, but is befriended by a Blackwalker, so a prisoner with special privileges named Denel, who takes an interest in Rose. And she also befriends her cellmate, Rizwana Manny, who goes by the nickname of Riz.
Yeah.
Which now has an entirely different connotation thanks to Gen Z slang.
Okay, I'm too old to know what that is. Right, okay. Because I was assuming it was something to do with smoking, but it might not be. But what I will say about the character Riz is introduced as Asian, but for a wee while it is not specified. And I'm just like, oh, okay. But I don't think too many other people's ethnic backgrounds are kind of commented upon. And I was like, oh, okay, right. Yeah, we are in 2005. It is another time. And I think that it would be handled slightly differently.
Yeah.
So anyway, sigh. Yeah, so the Doctor is forced to work on gravity acceleration technology using mind emitters with other alien prisoners. And they quickly manage to get a theory going for faster than light travel using gravitational waves, which overload the Scat House's main console. And Professor Flowers, who runs the Scat House, is impressed and agrees to the Doctor's demand to bring Rose to Justice Prime as his expert assistant.
I think this is where the dramatic reading comes in.
Yeah, excellent. Let's have a listen.
Rose took Riz towards the top table at the back of the canteen. Either people were understandably shy of sitting too near to the top brass, or the governor's flatulence was keeping them away in droves. Rose chose a table 3 down from the governor and his entourage, and 3 up from where Castor sat with her cronies, Maggie included. Rose gave Castor a big smile and a cheeky wave. Castor's face didn't crack. She was seriously checking Rose out. The long, intense stare was presumably meant to look intimidating. "I'm not putting up with this," Rose said. "Riz, I could use your help. I ain't fighting." "I'm not asking you to," she grinned. "Not with your fists, anyway." She checked on the governor. He seemed oblivious to her presence at first, sitting in silence with his plate of slop. Then he looked up, straight at her, like some little Rose sensor had kicked in. Slithina big on hunting, she remembered. Rose looked over at Castor. The look, the smile, the hair gelled into spikes hard enough to gore you. She dug her spoon into some lumpy, watery mashed potatoes. When she was 13, she'd had a boyfriend in the year above. He was a genius at food fights, the scourge of dinner ladies everywhere. Deadly accurate, he could set whole canteens into chaos with a well-loaded fork and a few subtle flicks of the wrist. He was a rubbish kisser, but in other arts he had trained her well. Timing was everything. She waited until the governor shifted his weight onto one buttock, a small smile suggesting he was discreetly letting one go. And while he was distracted, Rose took brief but careful aim and flicked her mashed spud in Castor's direction. The watery blob of white slime flew through the air over 1, 2, 3 tables until it splashed on the shoulder of the girl beside Castor and sent bits flying everywhere. There was laughter and rebukes and accusations, but all subdued. People were too wary of the governor and his warders. Rose knew she had to overcome that. Castor's face reddened with fury. Rose blew her a little kiss, hoping to provoke her, but Castor's mean little eyes kept flicking over to where the big man sat. So Rose heaped another sludgy mound onto her spoon. Not just mash, but a few bullet-like baked beans too, and fired again. This time, the missile struck Castor right in the chest. Rose relished the fury in those piggy eyes, saw the sparks start to ignite. "Food fight," hissed Riz, with an "are-you-mad" look in the direction of the governor. Then she grinned. "Guess it beats eating the stuff." Riz scooped a huge dollop of potato gloop and flung it over her shoulder at random. It smacked into someone's head with a wet explosion, the soggy fragments snagging in the dreadlocks of a bloke close by who groaned in revulsion. His table mates laughed, so he splattered a spoonful in their direction, and at the same time Castor, not about to let her victim get away with this and stuff the governor, loaded her own spoon and hurled a mess of beans and mash in Rose's direction. Maggie and her other minders quickly following suit, but Rose ducked. The mess splattered over the girls on the table behind her. They retaliated by chucking handfuls of their lunch wildly back over their shoulders, hitting others who yelped and laughed and scooped up missiles of their own. Within seconds, pandemonium had erupted as a full-scale food fight got underway. Casta found herself a key target for several splats as dozens of long-persecuted victims turned on their tormentor. With potato in her eyes, she couldn't see who was attacking, nor where the next assault was coming from. And just as Rose hoped, the warders leaped up from their seats automatically, yanked their truncheons from their belts, and started scattering, bellowing for order. The governor, red-faced and scandalised, was left alone and unguarded. Rose ducked down under her table and crawled swiftly through a forest of chair legs and stamping size 7s to get to him. Heart in her mouth, mashed potato in her hair, yells and shouts and clattering in her ears. She saw him from under the table, getting up and hurrying for the exit. He would pass by quite close. She couldn't miss this chance. Wriggling frantically from out of her hiding place, she grabbed hold of the governor's leg, pulled on it hard and twisted. He yelled and fell over, smashing into another table, tumbling onto his back. Rose had straddled his chest in seconds, her knees pinning down his arms. She yanked up his thick grey fringe, ready to grab the zip, ready to expose him. But there was nothing there but his wrinkled forehead. Rose started going through the hair at his temples like a gorilla picking fleas from its mate, a panicking feeling rising up inside her. She was wrong. No, she couldn't be wrong. The blue light, the smell, the flatulence. But there was no zip, and so no proof. Nothing she could... Suddenly, she was being hauled off him. She caught a glimpse of grey uniform, heard angry voices, her own panicked shouts of, "He's an alien! He's an alien!" over and over until the truncheon cracked down and the world went silent and black.
Thank you very much, Camille Coduri, for reading that. I feel like I need to take a shower because I'm covered in food now.
Yes. So as we've been hearing, Rose has been a bit suspicious about how windy the governor of Detention Centre 6 is, but she has found no evidence, and so she's been thrown into solitary. I mean... Like, this book has quite a few, like, throwaway fart references. It's like Jaws, but with more flatulence. And that you're kind of like, oh, no, there's a reference to fart. There might be a Slovene coming. It's like, I'd rather just, like, a fin in the background rather than just a fart suddenly being commented upon. But yeah, it is very much, it's like Chekhov's gun, isn't it? It's Chekhov's fart.
And we get references, like one of the reasons Rose suspected the governor is because there was a blue light flickering in his office, and it turns out to not be. And yeah, there's but yeah, it keeps coming back to flatulence and burping and all those wonderful things.
Yeah. I might be showing my hand here. Right.
Gas exchange.
Yes.
So in Solitary, Warder Norris reveals to Rose that he is an Earth government agent investigating some disappearances happening in the prison. And he lets Rose know that the governor isn't Slovene. And then Warder Blank enters and reveals herself to be a Slovene by transforming and killing Norris. Rose narrowly escapes with the help of Warders Robson and Jamini, but Blank and Norris's bodies vanish. The doctor's able to communicate with Rose across the planets using a video link under the supervision of Professor Flowers and her supervisor, Consul Isabel. And this part's kind of funny. So using coded EastEnders references, the doctor prompts Rose to give correct answers to like a gravitational related quiz about different figures because he's engineered the problems so that 45 Albert Street prompts Rose to get the answer and convincing Isabel of Rose's fake expertise there. That was a fun sequence. And I forget, apparently sometime in season 1, Rose makes the doctor watch a bunch of old recorded EastEnders episodes on VHS in her flat because she wanted to catch up on some storylines.
Right.
Great opportunity for Big Finish to reference in their ongoing series during this time, which exactly 2005, 2006 storylines Rose is mentioning there, because we can't forget she disappeared for a year and people thought she was murdered or whatever.
I wonder whether Louise Jameson was still on the show at the time.
Yeah.
She certainly was round about the year 2000, which was when I was in a house share that EastEnders was occasionally on in the background. So, yeah, I wonder which, if there were any companions or kind of former foes that the Doctor might be spotting.
Sadly, my knowledge only extends to the Cobbles, so I can't help you there.
Yes, or people that were in dimensions in time.
So then an alarm sounds, and Dram and Acosta, so the two Slitheen that were rooming with the Doctor, have apparently escaped. And despite this, Council Isabel orders Rose transferred to Justice Prime, so she's put on a shuttle and sent there.
One thing I'm just going to say about the warders' names. So I know Norris has been killed off, but I kept on thinking like Chuck Norris. And you've got Robson and Gemini. I wonder whether that is a pun on Robson and Jerome, who were actors who were in a series called Soldier Soldier. They had a #1 hit because they did a version of Unchained Melody or Medley or whatever it is that kept Pulp's Common People off the #1 spot. Something that I just personally held Robson Green responsible for. But yes, so Jerome Flynn of Robson and Jerome, you may well know from Game of Thrones, because he is in Game of Thrones as a major person, I gather. But Robson Green props up in the vampire thing. Is it Humans? Being Human. In later seasons.
Related to the wardens or the warders, their names, two of the missing guards or whatever who later show up as corpses are given the names Dix, D-I-X, and Malk, M-A-L-C, which I think are references to Uncle Terrence and Malcolm Hulk.
Yeah, it's got to be, I'd have thought. I am just looking at the EastEnders cast. Nobody there that was around in 2005 immediately springs to my mind. No, there is someone who the Doctor would recognise later. Michelle Ryan.
Oh, Lady Christina.
Yes. So, I think that is the potentially... Oh, and Tamsin Outhwaite, who, again, the Doctor will encounter further down the tracks. But nobody else that... I take that back. We have Pamela Salem.
Oh.
And we have Leslie Grantham.
Okay.
Who is very known to British folk as Dirty Den in EastEnders and was in Resurrection of the Daleks.
A couple of other classic series monsters that get a mention kind of roundabout here.
Yeah.
Slitheen, one of the Doctor's cellmates, mentions that one time they wore like a Martian, aka Ice Warrior, skin suit. So that I think was interesting that it's not just humans who get killed and replaced. And then both the Meeps and the Kralls also get a mention in this.
Yes, I forgot about the Meeps. Cool. Okay, so shall we get back on the narrative? So Rose is being shuttled across to Prime, and she's joined by Denel, who was the guy with special privileges who's able to walk along the wards, and Denel has stowed away. And the shuttle pilot is revealed to be another creature in a skin suit. Meanwhile, back on Prime, Professor Flowers grows suspicious of Council Isabel, especially after seeing an executive, Dr. Meldo, who Isabel claimed wasn't on the station, enter a restricted lab. Again, if we're playing the names references, Dr. Meldo, a little bit close to Meldrew, which was Mr. Meldrew is played by Richard Wilson, who is in the Stephen Moffat two-parter from this season. Anyway, so Dr. Meldo seems to be going around the station, and Isabel has also been seen having some conversations with a shadowy, and bear with me, Raxacoricophalapatorian.
There you go.
Don Arco, about accelerating their plans. So maybe Isabel the bad one. So the shuttle that Rose and Denel are on crashes on Justice Delta. And Rose and Denel have realised that the pilot is a Blaverine. Not a Slovene.
And sorry for the spoilers from last month
Yes.
about this. I forget. It's not that big of a reveal, but
It's not. No,
but it's I did when I was like, oh, they're actually making this a plot point. I probably shouldn't have mentioned it last month. I'm like, oh, the one thing I remember about this, but
Yes, yeah. So they meet Warder Robson, who has arrived via a transport disc.
like a teleport.
Yeah, from Warder Blank's room. And the Doctor, meanwhile, confronts Dram and Ektoska, who reveal that the other Slovene-type things are not actually Slovene, but are in fact Blaverine. And that the leader of the Blaverine is Isabel, and her Blaverine name is Ermenshrew, which is a slightly easier name to say than you usually have for this sort of thing. And it turns out that the Blaverine have been infiltrating Justicia, manipulating its planetary orbits to create a giant gravitational centrifuge. And their goal is to use the Doctor's amplified gravity wave technology to open a massive warp hole for their invasion fleet hidden in hyperspace. Very scientific.
And, the positioning of the 4 Justicia planets in their orbit to power a weapon is the exact same plot that Davros later has with the stolen planets in the Medusa Cascade.
Yes.
And I feel like Steve Cole should get a special thanks credit in the Series 4 finale for that.
Yes.
So then the Doctor, Professor Flowers, and the allied Slovenes, so Dram, Ektosa, and their aunt, Kalis Felfach, who opposed the Blatherine's destructive plan, raced to the main warp hole portal in the aquaculture compound on Prime, which is hidden within a pepito tree. And Ermenshrew follows, and the Doctor rigs the portal's nitrogen feed with a hyperdistronic pulse to disrupt it. And meanwhile, Rose, Dennell, and Robson, having seen the Blatherine control center on Justicia Delta via the crashed monitoring station screens. So, yeah, we didn't really mention, but there was a big struggle on the shuttle. Rose manages to knock the Slovene pilot, or the Blatherine pilot, out, but they end up crashing into a monitoring station, which is also in orbit, and then they crash, on the planet. But they all survive that.
Yes. Amazingly.
And then so Rose, Dennell, and Robson, they used the gravitational motors on the monitoring station to pilot the station kind of along the ground, but creating a trench behind them, into the Blathering Lair, which is the executive lecture theater on Justice Delta. And that's where Don Arco, the Blatherine patriarch, is hiding out. And the Doctor and Rose and everyone kind of reunite amidst the chaos. And then a mob of Borstal inmates, led by Riz, Katza, and Maggie, who turns out is actually a Slovene or a Blatherine in disguise. They use this transporter technology to arrive and attack the Blatherine on Justice Delta.
Yeah, so there's two things I'll just say here. So one, when the station is kind of piloted into the Blatherine lair, and as you say, it's kind of going along the ground, it said it's going at vast speed, but also the Doctor and Rose are able to have a conversation to each other. And I just found that quite confusing. I was like, how fast are we going? But Rose manages to jump and lands at the Doctor's arms. And I was like, okay. I guess it's a dynamic sequence. To me, it made little sense, but fine. One thing is, I suppose, interesting is when the Blatherine are being attacked. So you said a mob. It is made really clear it is a mob, and it's quite brutal. And I was quite surprised that
hundreds of inmates overpowering and bludgeoning to death the Slovene.
Yeah. And the book, it seems like the book's about to comment on this, and then it seems to kind of pull its punch. But also as well, the conditions are shown as being absolutely awful, etc. There's like enslavement and various other hideous things. But I just kind of thought that maybe there was something that the book was wanting to say but didn't. I don't know. It was interesting.
I did note that too. Like they kind of like set that up to like comment on it, but then backed away from it. When Rose is having that struggle in the shuttle with, I think Denel and Rose have like locked themselves in the flight deck, and like the Slitheen pilot is like pounding on the doors trying to break in. Denel says to Rose, "The big bad wolf is getting ready to blow our house down." Which is, of course, the Bad Wolf reference in this book.
Yeah.
I don't think all of the books, so all of the 6 Eccleston books have a Bad Wolf reference in them. I think only a handful of them do. And I think part of that is the authors didn't know necessarily to include it. But here it does get that mention.
Is it mentioned in The Big Finish? Sorry.
I don't think so.
Yes.
I will be listening for that in the future, though, in case they
yeah.
include some of those.
Yes. So the Doctor confronts Erminshrew, so Isabel, at the gravity amplifier console in the Scathouse workshop on Prime, and the Doctor bluffs that Dram, one of the good Raxa blah blah blahs, has reprogrammed a solar flare compressor to target the Blaverine mothership if Erminshrew activates the centrifuge, and Erminshrew presses the switch. The resulting feedback from the sabotaged warp hole and the primed solar compressor overloads the system, destroying Erminshrew, the console, and the Blaverine invasion fleet as the warp hole collapses. And Don Arco, the patriarch of the Blaverine, is also killed in the ensuing destruction on Delta.
So hoisted by her own petard.
Yes.
And in the aftermath, Dram and Extasa, the 2, I guess, nicer Slitheen, they do some questionable stuff too.
Yeah.
Reveal that they faked Don Arco's death using his skin and plan to restart their own criminal enterprises using abandoned Blatherine warp technology. Kind of, they don't reveal this to the Doctor, of course, but to the reader.
Yeah.
And then the Doctor and Rose depart in the TARDIS from Justice Alpha, and Flowers and Robson begin the process of trying to reform Justicia and expose the corruption to the Earth government, of which I think there was a small faction in the Earth government that was taken over by the Blatherine as well, which doesn't really get addressed.
No.
And then Denel, with Flowers' help, plans to find his father on Justice Epsilon, while Riz, Katza, and the other free inmates take control of the shuttle and, plan their escape to parts unknown.
Yes. So, that is The Monsters Inside.
I think I liked it a little more than you did, perhaps.
Yes.
I mean, part of me wonders, is it a good thing that the Doctor gets paired up with the Slitheen so often? I mean, they appear in, 3 of his 13 episodes, so close to 25% of the Ninth Doctor's stories feature this adversary.
Yes.
Plus, we've had them in the graphic novel, and then this novel as well, which is set in between their televised appearances. Going into it, I did get a little bit of oh, bother, them again type feeling. But after this story, I kind of want the Slitheen to come back again. I mean, you could do some really interesting things with the body horror elements and the skin suits and all of that. And I mean, it does end on a bit of a cliffhanger. I don't know that it's ever resolved. The story did keep me engaged, and I do have to recognize Steve Cole, the Ninth Doctor or Rose, do feel true to their characters. They are separated throughout, but it did, hold my attention from that perspective. I didn't ever feel like the Ninth Doctor or Rose were doing things uncharacteristic. In fact, I thought Rose especially was kind of spot on with her interactions in the prison and stuff, and with the whole mystery as to which characters are Slitheen or which ones have been taken over. It did keep me engaged from that perspective and kept me guessing as to who the baddies were at any given point in time. So I appreciated those elements of it. What were your kind of thoughts?
Yeah, it's not my favourite, I have to say. I mean, interesting that it's some places it's really quite dark, and other places there's like fart jokes and things. I am interested though in a more horror interpretation of the Slovene. That would be interesting, but like I wasn't as rapt as you were as to who was in disguise and who wasn't. Because I didn't find myself really caring for any of the characters particularly. Flowers I cared for a bit, but that might just be because I kept on imagining Flowers as Flower from the US version of Ghosts. Though like the character is totally different, but certainly I was just imagining physically that person just wandering around. But yeah. There's some nice bits. I mean, there's a good quote from the Doctor where he says, "Take a giant leap for humankind, and 9 times out of 10, you squash whatever's beneath you." And the Doctor, having been told that escape is next to impossible, says, "I'm often next to impossible." So, yeah, the Doctor, particularly, like as you were saying, Stephen Cole nails the Ninth Doctor, and also why the Ninth Doctor felt so fresh, because he is using kind of like vernacular. He is unapologetically Northern, because every planet's the North, but he is very much not the kind of like the posh dandy Doctor that is sometimes perceived of the classic era.
On the note where you mentioned this novel does have some places where it gets incredibly dark, I wonder if some of that has to do with thinking about when this was one of the first 3 books to launch the new series Adventures, which is kind of targeted at, say, a younger or newer audience, but you also have the task of pulling along everyone who's experienced the Missing Adventures, the New Adventures,
yes,
Eighth Doctor, you Past Doctor, all of that. So I wonder if it almost felt like a balancing act in that sense, where you wanted to reassure or not lose your existing readership. Yeah. So having some of those elements. And I mean, really, when you dig into the Slovene a little bit, once you get past the flatulence and all of that, it is a dark, horrific thing that they're doing.
Yeah, but I could just have it toned down. Like, really. But like it's totally jarring. To the extent it reminds me of, and I know I've quoted this before, the Charlie Brooker saying about Torchwood, and so it was like Postman Pat as directed by Quentin Tarantino. Like you have these bits. It's almost like it's the Slovene in Orange Is the New Black. And also there's one other thing, like when the prisoners are kind of, because you have male prisoners in one section, female prisoners in another section, because this is 2005, like there's no mention about anybody who doesn't fit into either camp, and then it looks like they're all going to be kind of like put together, and like the female prisoners are all seemingly getting ready so that they could then seduce someone, but they're also learning chokeholds. I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
What? But like seemingly so that they can get their own way. I was like, okay, I don't. Yeah. It's just,
Yeah, and your point about this is almost like a Orange Is the New Black mashup. I mean, that very much feels like that. It
predates it, obviously.
Yeah.
But so maybe Prisoner Cell Block H might well have been what Stephen Cole had in mind, and there were also UK prison dramas around about that time as well.
So how would you score this then?
I'm going to give it a 5. And I think that's just because, like, there's some interesting horror-y stuff. That is the only reason it's not a 4. It was, yeah. It's not the worst book we've read, but it was, but yeah, it was one of these ones. I know I picked it, but I was also just going to go, no. I mean, I was hoping that I might be pleasantly surprised. But also, like, if the show had not been a hit, maybe this could have been the template for the new adventures.
Yeah.
Anyway, what would you say?
Well, I think I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
think I enjoyed it more than you did.
Yeah.
I thought the characterization was especially decent, given the lack of reference material. I felt the secondary characters were pretty well realized. Each had like either a physical feature or personality trait that helped me keep them separate in my mind. But I did feel the supporting cast was too large, with the 2 or really 4 different prison planets, each having their own cast of characters. Sometimes it got confusing because you had personality counterparts in each of the prisons, like, the cocky jock type. And I guess I remember the first time reading this some 20 years ago or so, not really caring for it, probably due to the Doctor and Rose being separated for most of it, as well as the presence of the Slitheen. But revisiting it, it did grow on me, and I stayed interested throughout, and maybe some of that was due to Camille Coduri's performance as I listened to this one, so...
Yeah, I have been thinking that maybe I ought to be kind of like listening to some of these on audio. Because I'll be very honest, if we weren't doing this on the podcast, I would have just dropped this.
Okay.
But yeah. But I think I drop books more easily than some folks.
And it did leave me with wanting to see the Slitheen on screen again, which I never would have thought. So,
not for me, but but that's fine. That's fine.
All right, well, that's the monsters inside.
Yes. Okay. Please make me never speak of this again. Yes. Okay. Right. Well, we will speak of them again next month, I'm sure, because hopefully people will have lots of fantastic comments, or at least some comments or something.
And speaking of comments,
yes, indeed.
Let's hear what our listeners have to say. We've got some feedback on Blue Sky.
Right.
So Stuart Douglas says that Mission Impractical was one of his favorite of David McKenty's books. Wolfman Jack on Blue Sky said he thoroughly enjoyed reading Mission Impractical, and the novels need more penguins in general.
Yes, this is true.
All hail Frobisher. He also said that Glitz and Dibber's relationship gave him Mandalorian and Grogu vibes before later changing that to Blues Brothers vibes. I don't think I'd compare Glitz to the Mandalorian under any circumstances. But
yeah.
Wolfman Jack did clarify that Dibber is cuter than Grogu, and that at least I can agree with. And then we heard from Keith Say, who says he's been a couple of comments from Keith on recent books. He said he had been avoiding our review of Royal Blood because of world events, but that he enjoyed the podcast and thanked us. Okay. And then he also said about Mission Impractical that Six is his favorite Doctor. He adored the book when it came out, and he was starved of new adventures with him. But Keith also never quite forgave McKenty for killing off Dibber, though. So I'm apparently not alone there.
Yes.
How about on Facebook?
So Jared Cooper gave me some advice, which was to buy ugly luggage with bright colours. This was after Narnia Gate, aka when my luggage went missing, and I was discussing that. Fun fact, my bag went missing at the park run yesterday, because it turns out that they move them if the bags are in a certain spot, but they hadn't warned me. But I was just thinking, no, it's happened again. I was thinking a bit like Bruce Willis in Die Hard 2. So I provided an update to Jared as to kind of like a little photo of my luggage with not yours in a vaguely TARDIS-y blue. But yeah, nothing else, just the usual flurry of likes.
We also have a bunch of YouTube comments now.
Oh, okay.
So many so that I don't know that I can read them all.
Oh, okay. Gosh. I always forget that YouTube is a thing for us, yes.
It automatically publishes there, so it's another option for folks to listen to. Okay. Gail on YouTube says, "This was so nice." We heard from Tony Stark again, who really appreciated the story and says that he's actually speaking about Monsters Inside.
Okay.
And he says he read it, thoroughly enjoyed it, and appreciated how vicious the Raxacoricofallapatorians were in this story.
Yeah.
And a solid representation of how they can function as legitimate, frightening villains in Who, once you've done away with their needless fart humor of their first appearance.
Yes.
He says Rose and Dennell trying to get the hand flesh glove to keep the shuttle operating was wonderfully macabre.
Yes, that's true. That is true. That was quite good sequence, yeah.
And he also said the story takes place in approximately the same era as Frontier in Space, which also shows that the Earth Empire was in desperate need of prison reform.
Yes.
And then another comment, it's always great to hear from you both. I remember not liking Monsters Inside, but let's see if I was wrong.
Yes.
So thank you, everyone, for all those wonderful comments. And just as a reminder, you can reach us at andwbcpodcast@gmail.com if you're interested in sending us an email.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, through our socials, and we'll try and get to your comments.
Cool. Right, so I think this gets us to the stage in proceedings where you tell us what we're going to be reading next month for Spooktober.
Yes, and I've decided to go with a book from a range we haven't visited before.
Oh, okay.
And it's a relatively recent book.
Okay.
It was originally published in January 2023, so it's been out for about 2.5 years now.
Yeah. So that's,
Chris, your wish about perhaps listening to more of these has to be granted, because this is from the Big Finish audio novel range.
Oh, okay.
So we are going to be reading a second Doctor book called The Dead Star.
Okay.
Which is written by Kate Orman and read by Michael Troughton.
Oh, the Sainted Kate Orman. Excellent. Oh, cool. And this is a book I know next to nothing about.
And one of my favorite Doctors, so very excited for that pick.
Yeah, a Doctor I very much appreciate, an author I very much appreciate. So, Oh, that's so cool. And I can't remember whether Michael is... I think he is the Troughton whose son has become a cricketer and a cricketing coach. Yeah, I think it's... Yes, I think he's Jim Troughton's dad.
Both Michael and David were in Doctor Who at different points.
Yes.
But I can't remember which of them was in Midnight and which of them was in Last Christmas.
David is Peladon. He's in Last Christmas, is Michael. Yes.
Cool.
Yes. That's good. Oh, yes, and he was in The New Statesman, which is a Rick Mail vehicle from back in the day. I am looking forward to that, kind of spending time with Kate. So, and it's good to have my bluff called on audio so soon.
Well, I had planned that already, so...
Yes, but then I just walked straight into it. So that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Yes, and he plays the second Doctor, doesn't he? In the second Doctor Adventures, I think, or at least has done.
Yeah, I think he and Frasier have kind of traded off on some of that, I think. But yeah.
Okay. Cool.
All right. Well, until next month. This has been Matt in Minnesota.
Chris in South London. Happy reading. Stay safe, please.
Thank you for listening to the all-new adventures of the Doctor Who Book Club podcast. Special thanks to George C. Music for use of their song Doctor Who theme Swing Jazz version. You can follow us on Twitter at ANDWBC Podcast and like us on Facebook. Help other listeners to find us by leaving a rating or review on Apple Podcasts or your podcatcher of choice. You can contact the show by emailing your thoughts to andwbcpodcast@gmail.com. And until next month, happy reading.
Right.
All right.
Marvellous. I always feel as if I'm on the edge of something whenever I think even if we weren't doing this at the end of the month, I think the way that this year has been going, the way that the world is going. Yeah, but like when for the best part of a week in a cabin in the woods, it was almost like what we might think of as like a pioneer cabin, or at least what British folks might think it was like. So like you had wheels and stuff, and it would have been a carriage taken around by horse back in the day. One of the most beautiful things about it was I had hardly any phone signal. So I had to literally walk up a hill, sometimes in inclement weather, to get phone signal, just check up, make sure that no relatives were desperately trying to get hold of me, and do a bit of Duolingo to keep my streak going, and walk back down the hill. And that way, I heard next to nothing about the news. It was blissful.